These are the easiest ways into cybersecurity. So, number one, identity and access management. Why is it easy? Because at the more advanced levels, there can be engineering involved, but at the base, like entry level, it's not really doing that much. You're just doing access controls and role-based access controls. Now, the vendors for the certifications you can get are going to be Okta, there's Ping, there's SailPoint. You can also do Entra through Azure. You can do AWS's offering, and then Google Cloud Platform. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can do SOC Analyst. SOC Analyst is essentially the help desk of cybersecurity. It can get very, very technical at the deep level, like advanced, but when you first get into it, it's pretty much just like doing routine stuff. Now, you do need to have knowledge. So for that knowledge, I want you to get either Splunk certifications because they're cheap. They're like $130 each. So you can get like the Splunk certified core user, and then get the Splunk certified power user, then get the cyber defense analyst. They have a whole bunch of certifications. Get like 3 or 4, 130 each, you'll be set if you get like 3 to 4 of them. Or you could do the Blue Team Labs online. The certification is $550, but you'll be super, super nice with it when it comes to SOC analyst type roles. But it's kind of expensive. Or you could just sign up for TryHackMe. I recommend TryHackMe if you're on a budget. Next, the next thing you can do is going to be GRC analyst. And then within GRC, there's a ton of different titles within it, but you can go that route. I would recommend doing like ISO 27001, doing that certification as your first one. And then as far as labs, you can do ISACA labs. Now on the SOC analyst, the labs for that would be, if you're doing the Splunk certifications, you could do Splunk education. They have a ton of stuff on their website, in addition to what I said earlier. So yeah, then after that, you're going to do your resume. Once you do your resume, you want to create a section for skills, projects, all of that, because you're not gonna have that much security stuff. So that's where you're gonna put everything you learned, and then you gotta apply 20, 25 times a day. Eventually you'll get something. Good luck. Thank you, Zeno. You're the best to ever do it. I know. You're welcome.
Now, I do not agree with that SOC help desk stuff. I wrote blogs on everything on it. I don't agree with that. The only time it's like that is based on that Reddit that we read. But typically in the actual SOC where you're working on actual investigations or you're doing remediations or containments, you're not a help desk. So I know why some people say that sentiment is because in the way people have utilized SOCs, oh, they're 24/7, we're going to make them do all this crap. But it's really not a SOC help desk, especially now as things have advanced. The fact that AIs came in and people are trying to replace L1 analysts with agents, it's not going to be this simple. And I would also say, I believe he was probably talking about Blue Team Level 1 because that's the one I direct a lot of people to. I don't necessarily say you got to get a lot of Splunk certs. So you could get on TryHackMe and learn Splunk, but every SOC is not going to use Splunk. I'm going to keep you the beam. I've seen a lot of places now are migrating to Microsoft shops. So what I would say is kind of reverse. Go learn Sentinel. Matter of fact, you can set up Sentinel and just stuff in it and you'll be straight. And I'll take a step further. Learn the cloud, whether it's AWS or Azure. If you want to do Sentinel, I'm finna get a free game plan. Get a cloud cert, whether it's AZ900 or whatever. Set up Sentinel. All those labs and stuff that you do with the AZ900 or Cloud Practitioner, make sure them logs are going into Sentinel. Now, you can go through and maybe see what looks malicious or not, but now you can start trying to build out detections. But if you don't understand how to build out detections, go to MITRE. MITRE can help you build out those detections. And so now, when you got these certifications, you got this actual project, because this is not a lab, this is a project. Hey, made data points and logs for CloudTrail to come in my Sentinel environment. I created detections for public access disabled. S3 bucket is made public. Unusual IAM changes of different type of things set up in new regions not seen for the last like 90 days. You can start talking about all that stuff. So now when you go in an interview and say stuff like that, it's like, this kind of like detections we have. But a lot of that stuff you won't know because you got to do a lot of digging and know how to search the right thing. And you can fast track that by getting with somebody that's been in the industry for years. And that is the way that a lot of people are getting in quicker or leveling up from level 1 or 2 or 3 because they go find somebody that's been in the industry for a while. So definitely that. Now, what he said about IAM, I actually agree for the beginning parts. It's fairly simple. Like the guy in Asaki actually doing entry-level IAM stuff. But IAM is so critical now. IAM is also paying the bag. So you can probably rise up fast there. And it's also easier because you're not in a queue. You only got your assignments. And I mean, you're probably in a queue, but it's not like working in the SOC. And then the GRC. GRC used to be a little easier to get into. And based on what I'm seeing now, it's not as easy. You're going to have to build. You're going to have to go into that engineering mind frame for GNC for the most part. But all in all, good info. I couldn't really disagree with a lot he said. I think it just changed. Splunk used to be that, but now with other tools, it's a little bit different.